Actually, what we have seen here, we can also see the comparison between the drop in sale or raise in sale, but in the ribbon that we are seeing the graph. So it is possible that we can compare 2 to 3 years with 3 to 5 years, or with anyone else, not just sitting behind it, the first one. We can compare the first one with the third one or fourth one, the drop or increase in
Now,
sale.
you mean this category to be compared with this one?
Right, right.
Well, I think this in the ribbon, this particular chart, it may not be possible because I cannot put any sort of, I mean, the settings here where I will be specifically looking for 2 to 3 in the, I mean, compare with this. However, we can do one thing that we can take the help of the slicer and we can put the 2 to 3 and the 3 to 5 years over here. Now, I'll tell you what exactly I mean since we are covering the slicer on show. So, see that there's a visual that we are supposed to not start, which is the slicer. Yeah, see that, guys. This is the same slicer which you have seen in the pivot. Don't worry, right? Click out this, click here, the blank, this canvas. Now, I'm just going to put the date here. Okay, no, date, age. Okay, so I'll put the age group here, or you can drop here as well. So once you have this, this is how the slicer looks like. Okay, nice. This is your slicer. You can reduce the space as well, right? Now, just to answer his query that is there any way we can compare this the value which right now here is sales change happens between the the previous and the next one. Instead of that, we can have this comparison done with this and this. Well, I just like to see that if I put here 2 to 3 years and 3 to 5 years, for example, like this, let it use the control key actually. And now if I go here and if I can see that if it is now giving me the comparison between 3 to 5 and 2 to 3, wonderful. So now you can see it's telling me that in the 2 to 3 year, the sale was 12,000 and then 9,000. So I mean, with this, you can do that. Okay. So every time you have to change the slicer and they can give it the option. Now, if I press the control key, like for example, 6 to 1, you see now the 6 to 1 gets inserted here. Now, obviously, then this entire ribbon will do the calculation based on this and this and this and this. Right. So this is how it's going to happen. Now, I'll tell you one more thing. If you are not particularly interested in the slicer, so it is working, and there is a specific list in your mind that you want to use that, like you always want to see 2 to 3 years. After that, you want to see 3 to 5, and then 1 to 2, and then 0 to 6, something like that. Well, then we can go back to our data and we can try to create our axis in that way that, it can start picking the axis in that way, the way you actually want it. Okay. So maybe we will look at this. We will, I will go and check that and we will discuss that in the next session. That, because see, right now, this is the by default, the way the axis is coming, right? And it's all coming from here, this age group, from here, age group, right? So maybe if I have a list where I say, always compare first 0 to 6 and then 1 to 2 and then, something else, not in the sorting way, but any combination there we can do. So we will see, I mean, what I'm thinking right now is perhaps we can create some another column which will refer to each of these. And then there, we can see that, I mean, how that particular, when I go and drop that in that visual, it comes in the exactly the same way, in that way, that is something we can go and check. However, in the slicer, you can do that. I mean, if you're specifically looking for two things, 2 to 3 and 3 to 5 year, yes, we can go and do that. Okay. So now guys, this is the slicer. We call this a slicer, as you can see here. Okay. So clear all the filter. Let's clear all.
So it is applying to all three, and if you want to apply it for only one graph, then?
Yes. So this is when I'm using this slicer right now, and I'm selecting the option here, and you find that there's something happening, like in pivot, it happens that one click in the slicer changes the entire code. This is called the cross filtering. This is called the cross filtering. Okay. Yes. So we are coming to that point. We're discussing this. Anytime you click anywhere, all the visuals will change. This is the beauty of Power BI, not the slicer. Power BI. Why I did not see slicer? Because cross filtering is available even without the slicer also, right? For example, I go and remove this. Let's say, okay. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to select this 2 to 3 age group. Can you see that? Single click, just a single click. What happened? Every graph is now started showing you the data based on 2 to 3 years. This is the cross filtering. If I click anywhere else, I mean,
Ajay,
different
as
category.
per, sorry to interrupt. As per my observation, we have copied the one graph to another. This is why the all three are linked together. If we create the new one, I don't think at the time slicer will work on the
But
particular one.
that's a very good observation. That's really, I'm pretty much happy with the kind of the question you have. No, it's not like that. Whether you copy it or whether you don't copy it, this is the feature which Power BI offers. And that's what make your dashboards amazing. Like, for example, these three visuals you can see here. If you remember, I did not create the slicer from the previous slicer. It was a new, right? But it was still controlling the data. Anyways, we can do one more thing. I can simply go and say, okay, let's just chart. Let's populate this here. And what I'm going to do, I'll just simply put the date here. Okay, date. And with the date, something. Okay, sales. Okay. And now in this date, I'll just use the month. Okay, the month. Remember, this Jan stands for, I mean, here the sales we are getting is of all 3 years. Anyways, now this is not a copy and paste. I click on the January. See that? It started telling you the January sales. All the highlighted ones, they are the January sales. These highlighted ones, right? Rest is all dead. So it's basically telling me that in the January, under the category of this, these were the numbers. These were the numbers for every country. Look at here also. This is a better view, right? So obviously, because you see, right now, this is all about the 3-year data we have. The moment you click the January, it means you are cutting off the rest of the months. So number will be small, isn't it? So that's why you see this area, very small number, because your access is up till 20K, because it's the total of 3 years. So anytime you select anything, it's going to change the numbers. So cross filtering always gives us this power. It's not the slicer. Slicer also gets the cross filtering like other these visuals, right? And if you have to just come back to the original, just go and, so suppose I have clicked on the April, right? Now, fine, I have seen the data. I want to come back, right? So either you can re-click on that same month, okay? Or like this is April. If I just click anywhere outside, I will be back on the original graph, right? But most of the time, these things are not, I mean, cross filtering we generally don't use like this. I mean, we don't have a graph and from there we are controlling the data. We generally do this using the slicer. Okay, but yes, you can do that way as well. So click here, slicer, and it's not one slicer, guys. It's not one slicer. You can create others, many slicers. For example, this is a slicer. What I want here, what I want. I said I want here age group, right? Age group is coming. Now you see that, okay, so I want another slicer. Create a copy of it or just click. It's up to you. I also want to see that based on the shop name. Well, it's up to you. Now you have the 2 slices here. You will learn how to format this also. We will make this very beautiful. Okay. Now see, I go in the 1 to 2 year. 1 to 2 year is activated, but in the 1 to 2 year, maybe I want one more combination, press the control key. Right? 2 age groups I want to see. But I am interested only in the shop called first cry, one time, full suite. Right? So it starts giving the number based on that. This is all the cross filtering. Right? Power BI is nothing without this cross filtering. It's very powerful. Okay. Anyways, now, since you learned the cross filtering, now, the next thing which I want to teach is, as you said, somebody asked me, I think, Aman, that, okay, so first of all, clear the selection from here, okay? This is the one. Clear the selection from here, okay? Generally, what we do, we put the slices always on the top or on the, somewhere, I mean, in the dashboards on the corner sides, right? Like something over here, something over here. I mean, not in the middle, right? So I just put this here. Okay. Yeah. So now this is your clear selection. Now it means the overall data. Okay. Now, what happens if for any reason that will talk about this later, I don't want this visual to be influenced, to be changed by this slicer. I want these two should change, but not this one. Or maybe I want these two should not change, only this one. Or any other combination. Is it possible? Yes, possible. How? First of all, you have to select the slicer, right? You have to select this slicer because you want to go and change the other visuals based on this visual. If I want that from this visual, if I click and this should not change, then you will select this particular one. So your selection should be first of all, should be the right one. I want from this slicer, this visual should not change. There has to be no relationship between this and this. However, these two should change. So I select this. I go to the format option, edit interaction. Format option, edit interaction. The moment you click on that, you see edit interaction is colored, right? It's highlighted. You can see that even if you hover here. And one more thing, if you have noticed, these windows are activated for these two graphs, 3 graphs actually. What is it? Hover, none, filter, none, filter. Now, all are these available here. Wherever you want to click none, whichever visual you want, it should not be affected. It should not change. When I click here, anywhere here, you have to go and use that none. Click on the none. Okay? You can click here as well, you can click here as well. But as I said, we don't want that. None is selected, fine. Okay, now click here, somewhere here, done. Can you see that? You see that? This visual is not changing. Very nice. Very nice. Correct? One more thing which you have, if you're noticing right now, the moment I click anywhere here, or even clear all the selections, one thing which is going to irritate me is these icons are still available here. They should not be here. I have done my job. Let them go off. Let them disappear. Why they are there? Isn't it? Why the user will see? Because when the user will go and work on this, user will see them and he may try to click here and here. Isn't it? So there is one more thing you have to do, which is what? When you're here and when you are in the edit interaction and when you're done with the null, okay? Anytime you want to remove this, just click on this. Re-click here. This one. Yeah. This one. Now, none is gone. So that means this will be now filtered. Very easy. Anyways, none is there. Okay. Now, once the none is there, please re-click here now so that these icons should not be visible. Please re-click here after doing the job. You don't have to save anything here like Excel. Okay. Edit interaction, done. You're out of the window. Now, when I select any window, you don't see those icons, filter and none. Isn't it? Original picture, the canvas is back. So now I click anywhere, you see it's working. So you have a full control. If you want to have some numbers, you don't want to change those numbers, right? Like what type of numbers we are expecting here. Like for example, you are saying that in the entire dashboard, I want to see the total revenue earned by the company and the total loss, irrespective of what the user clicks here. Because if right now I click here, that total revenue, suppose you're showing only the total revenue, the number, $4,000, it will change based on this category, right? And you are saying, no, I don't want that. It's a process total. I don't want that total to, to be changed. So in that way, you will select that and then that particular option, I teach you all that and say none. So it means the rest of the visuals will change, but that revenue, profit, whatever it is, they will not change because you're saying that there has to be some numbers which should always be on the total, which should always represent the country overall performance, irrespective of what you select. Okay, so this is how the cross filtering is and how you can off and on it. I'm just going to go back here and say edit the interaction and I say please come back. Okay, and once again I click here so that those icons are gone. Okay, now you see it's working. Control key, you already know this works in pivot also. you can use that. Now in the slicer, you have only one field, and this is the last part of our training. Okay, we're going to color this. So you see, let's go into formatting section, slicer setting. What do you want the slicer setting? Click here. See, you can have a tile option. Tile option. So in the tile option, this is how it's going to look like. See, it has created some tiles for you. They will put some border here. Then you will see. Look at this. Yeah. Well, I personally like this option a lot, right? If you want to change this to vertical, you can change this to vertical also. You know the vertical, right? You have seen this vertical, right? If you want to create some the drop down is there, right? So the drop down is also there. Drop down is going to save a lot of space in case if you have too many items, because one can just put the slicer here and it's going to save the space. The moment somebody clicks here, he can just go and say, okay, I want this, and you see what to do is there. Okay, so these are the different views that you need to decide which one you want. Okay, I'll go with the tiles, my favorite one. So I'm just going to keep this as it is. Tiles. Okay, fine. Now in the selection area, by default, it's the multi-select. Remember, I told you control key, you can select multiple items. If you want to make this single select, you can, right? Single select, like this, like this, like this, right? If I try to use the control key, I'm not able to. So this is all about the single select. Fine. If you don't want to have a single, then by default, this is there. This is show select all. I mean, if you have too many categories, like for example, this select all is there. Again, you don't then have to use the clear selection. You can use this one here. If I say 2 to 3 years, 3 to 5 years, this is how it works. See that, right? And then, so let me just, so basically, I mean, in this case, what happens? When you use the select all, the moment you click this, the ones which are now not highlighted, they will be off, and you have the 6 to 1 year. Okay. If I use my control key is working because you have enabled the multi-select option. Control key is always going to work. So, I mean, just try with these options. There's no, as such, I say that, just a bit of hands-on experience is fine. You practice this for 1 or 2 times and you're okay with that. You don't need a tutor for these things. Okay. But I'll just keep this as, I don't want to use the select all. Fine. I'm okay with this. Okay. So clear selection is always there. Clear selection. Okay. So this is how it is. Select all basically helps you in selecting all the options without the control key. So if you have too many lists, yes, you can. That you need to decide. Slicer header. Do you want the header? Well, I don't want the header. Again, then you have the, you can type in something here instead of the age group. I say age. See, age is there. Bold, italic, all that, right? So show summary, for example, show summary. Show summary means multiple selections. If I select one thing, let's say this, it tells me the age is selected. I think it's nice information. Show summary, right? Otherwise, I never want to keep the header, but because show summary helps me in identifying which particular category I've selected, though it is highlighted also here. But again, if you want to keep this information, you can. Okay. All right. So I can keep the size as, something like this. Okay. The border, you want the border. Well, see, there are different levels of borders. This is all in the title. Remember, left and right. You see that? Okay. I don't need this. I'll keep the one which is bottom. That's it. Color, you can change the color, right? So this border thing, yeah. This one, I keep this as 2, for example. Background color, if you want, of this, the header. Well, let's say, okay, so let's say we have this one. Or maybe, let's say, this one, for example. And this, I'll keep this as, no, sorry, this is the border one. So I have to change the font color also again, Yeah, like this, something like this. Okay. All right. So, yeah, fine. And then there's the value section, which is very important. The values which you see here, 0 to 6 months on that. You see? So I'll make this, I'll change the font actually, bold. This one. and I'm going to keep this as this one. Sorry, not the font. I want actually the background dark color. So I'll put this background here. Nice. And for the font, they should be visible. Maybe light color. Yeah, perfect. Padding you can give, guys. Padding is the same as I said, the distance, right? So you can always go and create this in this way. Just see that what suits you. Looking nice. And definitely go and this. Try to, this age 3 to 5 years, see if you can have maybe a different combination, the color combination. Okay, so I'm okay with this. Let's go with the general tab. Property, you have already seen all that. Title, you want to have a title here. Title will come here. No need extra information. Effects, well, okay, so in the background, this is the background of the slicer, right? Well, I like to get the same sort of color like this, in case if you want. I can put maybe some transparency like this. Or maybe I can just remove this, right? Because I think without this also it's looking beautiful. The borders, the visual borders, these borders, right? No need. I'm not going to use that shadow or that stuff. Shadow I keep. Okay. Well, yeah. So you see that your slicer is ready, and this is how now your dashboard, you can use this in this way. Okay. Now please understand one thing. So this is your this is my the slicer, and you have here the PS or this the selection. Now if I let me show you one thing. I'll just copy this. There are different level of slices also you can create. See, sync or don't sync. Well, I don't want to sync. Yeah. See, now let me take you back to this slicer, the setting. I use the vertical list. Okay. See that the vertical list is here. And I will do one thing. Slicer header, I don't need it. Yeah. Okay, this is fine. Now, creating this slicer and this slicer, where I don't have the age group because it is a text. I want to actually create a slicer, let's say, which has date. Yes. Okay. So I'll put the date here. See now, I want to show you something. Okay. So these are the dates, right? Okay. Now, when I have this date, I can select any date and the visual will be changed, right? So here, just give me 1 second. Date hierarchy, let's say. Yeah. And I'll keep this quarter gone. Yeah. I just prefer this one. And yeah, see this. This is what I was talking. When you go back to your this slicer, the option, vertical tile drop down between less than and equal to. This is something you see, right? If you go back here, this one, the slicer, I'm under the visual section of this. I see only 3 options, vertical tile and drop down, right? In future, it may change, I don't know, but based on the slicer, based on the slicer values, your option box can offer you different values. Here, first slicer. Here, your first slicer is having a text data type, right? Second one has dates. Dates, which are actually numbers. I hope you know this, right? Because date can be added, subtracted. So they are supposed to be numbers, isn't it? Now, what I'm trying to say is one thing which you should keep in mind, that because it's a date or any number, maybe you can create a slicer on month like 01, 02, 03, something like that. Sorry for this. What will happen because of those numbers, your option in the slicer will also change. You have more number of options here in this particular thing. Vertical list tile drop down is there. Now you have between also, right? Because you see, only in numbers I can say between or less than equals to or greater than. You can't say that in other text categories like these categories, dealer A, dealer B. You can't say that I want the number. I want to see the data between dealer 1 and dealer 6 because they are text. So anything you put here, if it is a number, it's a numbers, right? These options are also there. What is it like? You have 20 years of data. 20 years of data. So maybe you prefer then using the between, because through this arrow mark, it picks the minimum and the smallest and the highest number automatically. Imagine you have 2022, 2010 to 2022. Now you are somewhere looking for the data between 2015 and 20. So you can just go and put these things in this way, right? I have only 3-year data. Okay, so these circles, you can just go and move this from left to right or right to left. If I put this here, see the number changes to 2021. So if I have 10 years of data, you'll find this can be moved from first position to second to third. So there will be 10 stop different 10 stop points, right? So this is very interesting. If I go and say I want this 2021, I'm not taking the help of this. I'm just writing here 2021. Wow, this is also possible. So same way I say here between 2010 to 2015, and this will automatically change. So these are also the slicer important features. Now, same way, like this is the between. Let me copy this. This is the between. There's another option they're giving me less than equals to. Now imagine you have 12 years of data and you are saying that starting from 2010 or 2020 to 2030, I want to see the data. So this is how it is. Now this is less than equals to, so this option will not change. It's freezed because this assumes that it's going to be from the last, the first, the smallest year. This you can keep on changing. So now it means if I put it here, right? So I'm now looking the data from this to this, from this year to this year. Same way, you can change this to greater than or equals to, and the reverse will happen. You will have this fixed point like this, and from this now to this. This is the highest year as per your data. So let's say this is 2030. So I want to see the data from 2025 to 2023. So I'm just going to put this somewhere here. So once it is 2025, it automatically goes up to 2030, right? No big signs, no big logics, just the options are pretty simple. So these are all available in these, but not in these, because this is a text. Okay, so you can't do these calculations in these type of slices. Okay, so we have this slicer. Okay, so slicer. And the last thing, not just one category, we can have a further more categories in one slicer. Okay, like for example, formatting part, you can just go and do that at home. You have 5 days now to practice. I'll just show you. So suppose what I want is that based on the year or based on any 2 fields, like I say category and I say age group. So you see, you have this also under each category. So I say in the X history, I want to have only this and this, you can do that as well. Okay, just give this a proper formatting this way. Okay, from here, slicer setting. You don't see here the other option, tiles, because tiles cannot be, it cannot act here because of these 2 levels, right? You can have 3 levels also. So we're just showing you the drop down and the vertical list. Give it a try. Okay, same way as I said that this is also very, if in case you want, let's say, date. So I say date, hierarchy, and I say I want to see this one based on the year, the quarterly performance. So that is also possible. Okay, so we can have several levels in one slicer also. And you know what you want to do. All right, so now I don't want to touch that second part because initially I want to go slow. I want now in the, before that we meet again, we catch up again. Just please go through all these slices, go through these Power Query sort of things. If you haven't done this practice, the headers, change the data, try to change the scripts, that try to make yourself comfortable with Power Query. Go and watch the Power Query course also. At least check the 5 or 6 lectures of the Power Query, you'll understand. And then practice all this.